in Habakkuk 2:2, it talks about an appointed time. That sometimes things take a long time. But when the time comes, there ain't no stopping it. There ain't no stopping it from happening. Look, sometimes life can be hard. I'm going to be honest with you. There's times in my life that I just don't want to be alive anymore. Just like some key, amazing men of God that we look up to in the scriptures. Moses, Elijah, Job, Jesus. Some of the things that they said. That they asked God to take their life. If this is the life that you have for me, they said, I don't want it. I don't want this life. Moses told God, if you really love me, you'll take my life. You'll kill me if you really love me. We quote Jesus, and we don't even think about what he was saying in the Garden of Gethsemane when he said, my heart is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. My heart is so weighed down right now about what I've been through and what I know is coming. I'm so weighed down about the future that this is all too much. I don't know how it's going to pan out. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to go down. And it is so taxing and exhausting and traumatic that I just want to die right now. Nevertheless, Jesus continued, not my will, but thine be done. So there are times I don't want to live this life anymore. But I have a son. And I have a future. And I have a cross. I want to remind you that everything that you're going through right now is a moment in time. And it will end. A lot of times we feel the things that we're going through, that's another thing. That what we're going through, this is never going to end. And that's not true. I can't tell you how many times, how many dark nights I spent alone in my car, bawling my eyes out, saying, I'm gonna die in this car. I am never coming out of this car. I'm out. I don't want to make light about what you're going through. I just want you to realize, I don't want you to throw your reward and everything away because of momentary struggles, as hard and severe as they may be. It is truly in all span of eternity and outside of time, a little bit. And you deserve something for all that you've been through. You deserve a reward. Don't lose it. That's why in Revelation at the very end it says, don't let anyone take your crown. Don't let the devil take your crown. Don't let your feelings take your crown. Don't let peer pressure, the lies from the world and the things around you, don't let anything or anyone take your crown. You deserve something for this. We can't live in our feelings. And something I encourage you to look at that I seen that really I think is amazing, and doing this lesson reminded me of it. We live on Earth, right? And Earth is humongous, okay? It's just so vast. And if you ever seen, they have this thing where you can see the solar system, the planets all lined up, okay? And then they'll pan out and you can see more, you know? and the stars and the galaxies, and they'll pan out, and you can see it all and how vast. And it gets to a point as they're panning out where they have to draw a little arrow for you to know where Earth would be, because you can't see it anymore, because it's the tiniest thing that's beyond what your eye can see. That arrow, that speck that's beyond what your eye can see, is the culmination and the full weight of all that you suffer and go through, compared to all eternity. If you make that your focal point, and you make that lose out on your relationship with God and lose out on everything, that is a tragedy beyond tragedies. This life is only a staging ground preparing us for way, way, way better that will never end. The pain, the agony, the torment that you're in right now will end. We can't live in our feelings or believe the lies of the devil, who wants us in our feelings. And I'm going to tell you from experience, pain lies. Pain lies to you. Some of the things that I've said to myself when I'm in that, you are not a pawn in some game that God plays. I want you to know that. You are not a cog in a machine. Sometimes I would think it's like God's on his bedroom floor and he dumped out his toy box and we're just all scattered everywhere and couldn't care less. That's not true. You have a place in eternity that is waiting for you. You have a place there. And you have a cross here. I don't like it any more than you do. But so many others have gone on before us, and they stand as examples. Hebrews 11 says that we have a great cloud of witnesses that made it, that are cheering us on. People that were sawed in half. The early Christians, emperors like Nero, would use Christians as street lights and light them on fire, line up the streets, make games out of it and feed them to lions. And people would sit in the stadiums and cheer and yell and watch it take place. I want you to think about what helps. This is something that helps me, that I try to do. I try to think about the end result of the people who didn't quit. How did that go for them? The people who went through unimaginable hell, torment, and pain and still didn't quit, they got their turnaround. They got their breakthrough, or they got their reward in heaven. They won. What about the people who said, I can't take this anymore? I don't believe. If this is how God treats his children, I don't want any part of it, and they walked away. And I see the end result of their lives falling apart, and I see where they're going to go in eternity. We have the choice to be Peter or Judas. And it's a choice that only we can make. So many others have gone on before us and stand as examples to stay in the race. Stay in the race. I don't care if you're limping, bleeding, crawling, crying, inching. If you got to stop sometimes, go ahead and stop. But get back up and stay in the race. I'm going to finish with 2 more points. In 2018, I left the only home I ever knew. I was born and raised in Wisconsin. By the call of God, I packed up my little Dodge Neon, packed up the trunk, and drove off. A couple days before I left, something happened to me. And I knew it was pivotal. And I wrote it down so I would always remember, because I knew it was something that I would need in the future, and indeed it was. I was trying to get rid of everything that I had, and so one morning my friend's husband came over to get a box, my DVDs that I had, and while he was there, he took some other things. So I helped him carry the boxes down to his car. So we loaded up in the car, and I said, bye, and I turned around, and I noticed that I didn't have my keys, and I lived in an apartment with a locked lobby. Now, it was only a 4-family. 2 of the apartments were vacant, and the other tenant was at work. And my keys and my phone were up in my apartment, and there was nothing that I could do. So I went next door to the neighbor. She called the owner, who told me that he would not be able to be there to let me in until 6 p.m. that night. It was about 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. And there was nothing I could do. Thankfully, there was a little in-between doorway, so I went in there and sat down. There was nothing I could do. I just sat there looking at this goofy, locked door that I couldn't do anything about. And so I started to sing, and I started to pray. And I was thinking about all the people on my Facebook friend list and praying for them, trying to come up with things, praying for everyone else I knew. At one point, the neighbor came by and she said, hey, I'm leaving. If you want, I can drop you off at McDonald's. At least you'll have AC, and, you can get something to eat, something. And I said, thank you, but I want to be here, because if that tenant comes home, I want to get inside. I sat in that hallway for 4.5 hours, doing whatever I can to kill time. I hated every minute of it. And I remember at one point, I looked up, I'm sitting on the floor, and I look up at the door, and I say, here I am, sitting before a locked door that is never going to open, no matter what I do, until God says it's time to open. And I said, I need to remember this, because there's times you just feel it in your gut, and God is speaking. And I knew God was speaking to me. And that's what I want to tell you. Sometimes I hate it. I'm in it. I hate it as much as you do. There are some things, some promises, some callings that have a time stamp on it. And it's not based on how good you are. It's based on a time. The last thing I want to leave you with is this. For those of you who aren't working right now, at one point you did, and so you'll know what I'm talking about. You work a job you don't like for the owner of a company you don't even know to get a paycheck. Why not keep living a life you may not like for your Creator who loves you and has a plan for you to get a place with Him for all eternity?